After Road America and VIR, it is one win apiece between Gianfranco Pagotto and Jesper Sandström. We head to Mosport for tonight to see if we can break the deadlock or perhaps introduce a new winner to the series. Welcome to the Apex Racing TV esports studio. Welcome to the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. I am Sam Fitzpatrick and I have back alongside me Aaron Smith for tonight's broadcast. Aaron, you were very generous last time at giving Jamie a chance to commentate at his favourite circuit in the world, I'm very happy to have you back alongside. It's been a fantastic season so far, and you know it's always a concern at the start of the season: is someone going to run away with it? No one's going to run away with it this season. It's been very competitive.
Yeah, it's been probably one of the closer championships we've had in terms of just utter ridiculousness. The Pro Championship, in my opinion, looks incredibly close. I mean, it's probably the closest Pro Championship we've had for quite a while. I mean, Pagotto at the moment in the practice session looks really, really comfortable around here. We were just watching one of his onboards while we were just getting ready, and he was absolutely on the limit, especially in those final few corners. And you know, if he can do that during the race, I think it's probably going to be between him, Diadone and Sandström, probably for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they all look really at the top of their game, those drivers. Let's have a look at the schedule. Of course, 9 rounds for this season. It runs all the way to the end of the iRacing Championship and a little bit beyond, actually, into week 13 and the season 4. Of course, Road America and VAR, like I'd already said, the first couple of rounds. Mosport for tonight, then we have another week's break when we return to the ASUS Apex Racing League Endurance Championship and Hungaroring and Aragon and Nürburgring later on in the season. In terms of looking back at the previous rounds, honestly, my highlight for the season so far has got to be Dylan Platt's save. We have got a replay of it from a few different angles to show you. This was absolutely incredible. This is one of the best iRacing saves I've ever seen in my life.
I have to agree with you. I remember seeing this, you know, on the broadcast when I was watching it, and that is incredible. I mean, especially in these high downforce cars, drifting it like that is just. It requires amazing car control, and he nearly kept the position as well. So,
well, the moment later, I think maybe a little generosity from his rival to give the position back. So he didn't lose any places. It wasn't cool, but I like this last angle. Absolutely incredible stuff. So well done to him for being able to recover that one, and that was certainly the highlight from VAR last time, along with Jamie Fluke absolutely being horrible to his fellow Jamie in the form of Tewkesbury last time out, who did not have a great run despite running very well at times. But in terms of the standings at the moment, we've already discussed that it's a very tight championship. Only 2 rounds in, plenty of chances for the season to change yet, and it's currently Jesper Sandström. Not with an astonishing last round. If anything, I was a bit underwhelmed by Jesper last time out, and he was not the fastest driver by any means.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like that, well, just from going off practice, what we've seen so far, he still is up there, you know, in the top 3 more or less, you know, consistently every lap, but he doesn't have that outright pace that we saw maybe in Road America, or that we've seen from him in previous seasons in IGP Fun. But, you know, who knows? It is just a practice session, so anything can happen. Pagotto might have a brake failure. Who knows if he's running a certain brand of pedals at the moment. But yeah, I think it's going to be super, super close as always.
Yeah, I'm very much speaking from experience, unfortunately, with that one. In the Pro-Am standings, Christian Glansetzer currently at the top. Edward Pop, I mean, he's a driver who has improved a lot. Was an amateur driver, I think, the last time he was in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. But if he had done all the rounds that season, he would have won the championship. That's why he's a Pro-Am. So he's just, you know, on a steady incline up. But then you throw in Connor Gibb. Richard Boberg is a very strong F3 driver. He really excels in the F3 more than anything else. So, you know, that's another one where any of those top 4 could be in play.
Yeah, I mean, it's even closer than the Pro Championship as well. And Glansetzer, my pick for this season. He's been going okay, but he just needs to bump the pace up just a tiny bit, and he will be equaling the likes of Pop, who, as you said, has made leaps and bounds this season. He has some really, really good pace, kind of edging towards pros now as well. So you never know, he might be able to fight some of the pros today.
And in the amateur standings, currently Dorian O'Roy at the top of that one. Paul Joseph Clist in second place against Jay Walsh. And there I think Andy Lee and Jamie Tewksbury slightly hindered by the fact that they missed one of the rounds. I think it was the first round that both of them missed. Tewksbury really strong last time out. I think he managed to get up as high as 7th place. And unfortunately was just a bit inconsistent and had some incidents and fell down by the end. He still got into the A final, still the highest scoring amateur driver, but we know that there's a lot more potential from Jamie. Reminder of the format, of course, we're using the elimination heat format for this series. And for tonight, slight change to the format, it's only the top 6 who get through from the heat, and only the top 3 who get through from the B final. So it's just a 15-car field for the A final tonight.
Yeah, just a little tweak, and it's going to mean it's all the more important for the likes of those AM drivers where, you know, we usually only see maybe 1 or 2 in that final, and whoever does is going to get a big points boost if they can take advantage of some incidents up ahead like we saw in Road America as well. And yeah, that's going to be, it's kind of the make or break for these AM drivers. Pro-Am, you're sort of teetering on there. Some might make it through, some might not, you know, depending on maybe if there's a few incidents in the heats or even the B final. But those pros probably should be making it through every single time unless they get really unlucky.
Yeah. Now, pros, to be fair, are maybe the most populous kind of class. I think we've got 9 of them potentially out there, so not many places for the other classes to be able to get through. Let's have a look at just the circuit that we're visiting, Mosport. I remember this circuit maybe has lost a little bit of relevance, I'd say, but because I remember back when I signed up in 2016, I made like a nice spreadsheet. I was a very organised 15-year-old, and I was like, okay, I've got, you know, £20 in my savings to spend. I need to be very specific about the circuits that I buy. And Mosport was a very good one. It was in lots of different states. Of course, now that we've got all these Grand Prix circuits and European circuits, it's not quite so much, but you know, it's in the F3 official series, so clearly people still enjoy coming here.
I mean, I'll admit I haven't driven Mosport in quite a while either, but when I did the last time, I think it was in Formula 3s, it was so good to drive. The car just flows beautifully through every single corner, and when you get it right, when you're right on the edge of the track, especially around that final sector, especially these pro drivers, going to be doing that pretty much every single lap. It's such a beauty to drive, and I do think it's underrated a little bit. I think it should be on the calendar in a few more series. GT3s as well is quite fun around here, but yeah, hopefully if people enjoy it this week in the schedule, it might find its place in a few other series, who knows.
Absolutely. How is it racing against the grass around this circuit? Because I feel like that's always the trickiest part, because there's just a perimeter of grass around this track, and everyone knows iRacing grass, it's so slippery, and whilst there's some runoff area here, if you hit that grass you're probably ending up in the wall. I find it a very stressful circuit to race around, because it's almost like a street circuit where if you push it that little bit too far, then that can be your race over. Yeah,
I mean, that is 100% a fact around here. It's, like I said, it flows beautifully when you get it right, but if you do get it wrong, and I do mean ever so slightly wrong, it will end catastrophically for you, as it's high speed, so if you maybe touch a bit of grass, yeah, you're going round into a barrier, absolutely no hope of you catching it. And well, I mean, who knows, we might see a few more saves like we did in VIR today if any of them get lucky enough. But yeah, it's a punishing track, but a lovely track to drive, kind of like Imola as well. Really good to drive, but very, very punishing.
Yeah, I think that's a very good comparison. Maybe the Imola of North America this round. And well, who do you think is going to have the best chance here? I mean, we've spoken a bit about the Italians, Pagozzo and Diodone. Of course, new to, so he's not actually affiliated, not in the same team, those guys. But you know, both new to the championship, both been really strong in the first couple of rounds. Do you think it's going to be one of them, or do you think it's going to be back to the old Contech Sim Race Sweden kind of dominance?
I think it's too close to call, to be honest. I think
that's
in the practice...
That's not an answer.
I know it's not, but...
That's something that Tim Cox would say, and I despise anything that comes out of that man's mouth. So I want an answer.
My guess would probably be Pagozzo. He's on a good form at the moment. He won the last race, of course. He looks good in practice, but when I tell you the gaps are not very big, it was like a tenth, maybe 2 between the top 5. So... you know, slipstreaming, and if somebody has an incident, it is too close to call, you can't deny it. And it's a good thing. We're going to have some close racing, and it's good that I can't predict it. I think that's good. It's doing better than F1 anyway.
I'm going to take pride in being wrong, and I'm going to say Jesper Sandstrom. If I'm right, then I'm a prophet. Not that much of a prophet, but if I'm wrong, so be it. It wouldn't be the first time. We will transfer over to the circuit to catch the start of qualifying in just a few moments' time. Yeah, we'll see you just after these couple of adverts. Welcome to Mosport. We are just a few moments away from the drivers setting their first qualifying laps of this session. They have 10 minutes to set as many lap times as they like, and it's a group session, so they are all trying to get the draft from one another, but of course not get too close for the turbulent air, which is very effective around this circuit. Yeah, it does certainly seem like we've got a bit of a train. I thought maybe a few Aaron might just want to go out by themselves, but from the pictures that we're seeing at the moment, it seems like they're all in a line, like a bunch of very hard-working, team-working ants.
It does look like that a bit like you know, some kind of anthill you might find in your back garden. But yeah, they're all working fairly well together, not really getting in each other's way too much. But you know, like I said a couple of weeks back, I was always the type of driver who would prefer to just go out there and have a clean track to myself. I didn't want to risk any other drivers getting in my way or ruining my lap. I just didn't think the risk was worth it as a driver. Going off there on the exit of turn 2 as we're on board with Christian Glamsetter now, who was one of my picks for the Pro-Am Championship, and he's a fairly consistent, fairly quick driver, and going fairly decently at the moment, just setting his first flying lap.
And an element of this as well, which is a little bit tricky to convey, Simonson moves up to 5th place. 15 drivers are on one bit of the circuit, and then 10 of the drivers have like a different circuit. It's just the way that the heat format works. And so not everyone kind of can work together and be in the same train. There's sort of two groups currently going on. Yeah, that's just how iRacing works. So yeah, some of the guys can work together if they're teammates. As Diodoni, look at that, goes up to 1st position. That is quite a time. Edward Pop can't get near it, but Diodoni can, and Olsen can as well. So it's decently close at the moment. Michael K back as well with a nice time.
Yeah, you do have to wonder how much of that is the slipstream or how much is just pure skill. And Jesper at the moment seems to be all by himself, so seems like going the clean way is the way to go. He's currently nearly 1.5 tenths ahead of Diodone in 2nd place, who has had a pretty decent first lap along with Olsen. Top 3 separated by just under 2 tenths, and I imagine that will get even closer with the likes of Pagotto setting a proper lap, maybe even the likes of Zwemstra and that other Alcantech drivers might be able to set a decent lap time, but at the moment it's going the way of Jasper Sandstrom, and your pick is going fairly well.
This is what we like to see. The other day in the Endurance Championship last week, I got 2 out of the 3 pole sitters right, and I was really proud of myself. Doesn't take a lot to make me proud, but I was on that occasion. Sandstrom, I'm not sure if this is a fast lap. I mean, he does look fairly rapid. Let's see if he can go even faster. But Gotsu does go faster. He goes to the top. You can see they're not on the same circuit as one another. Sandstrom lacking a little bit, 600 or a second off, but he is certainly pushing on this second lap. Okay, back in again, improving. Platt up there in 9th position. Lee Aberdeen with a limited All-Contech squad. Apparently they're having a meet-up in Sweden this week, which, considering that a lot of them aren't based in Sweden, is quite an effort from a lot of them. So really cool to see that team really thrive. But Kevin Swemstra either isn't there or has found a rig, and he's running currently in 5th position, 3 tenths of a second off. Very strong time last time from Kevin. He was actually faster than Jesper, I thought, at VIR. So hopefully we see that same form being continued.
Got a bit of beat, don't you? You know, you've raced against him recently.
If he beat me, then not. I would have done, but I beat him by 100ths of seconds, and I won't let it down. So thanks for bringing that one up, and I much appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a super close finish between you and Kevin, and you know, you never know what kind of luck Kevin's going to get in this race, or maybe he can turn it up a notch during the race, and maybe just win or just lose by 100th again. Maybe this week isn't his week, or maybe he can turn the form around. Who knows? But he's going fairly well in qualifying at the moment. They're in P6, so I think he'd like to improve on his lap time just a little bit, maybe bump up ahead of Aberdeen, maybe get into the likes of Olsen's rear wing, but he can be fairly happy 3 tenths off at the moment.
24 drivers out here tonight, so we should have 2 heats of 12 cars, and then the B final will have 13 cars, the A final will have 15 cars, so a nice even kind of split across all the races for tonight. Remember, top 6 advance from the heats, and top 3 get through from the B final. So you really want to be in the top 12 for the qualifying session, and then you're putting yourself in a good position to get straight through into the A final later on. Here is Leonard Bognar, top of the Pro-Am drivers, but he's just kind of warming up those tyres right now, half a second off one of our rookie drivers.
Yeah, the tyre warming in this sim, as most people know, doesn't really work all that well. If you want to warm up your tyres, you kind of just have to drive. You know, weaving about doesn't really do all that much in this game, unfortunately. So you just kind of have to drive maybe a lap or 2, and then the tyres are up to temp, got those tyre pressures a little bit bumped up, and then you can start pushing. And we'll see if Bognar is going to push on this lap, which it looks like he is, but he's currently top of the Pro-Ams, and maybe has his eyes set on Postrup up ahead. Who knows? He's not too far off.
When you were racing last season in this, and what was it still at the time? That's just running a little bit on the perimeter there. That's into the wall, and that will be the end of his qualifying session, because you got to complete your lap within the 10 minutes. But I remember at least how the qualifying sessions used to go, which was you had your fast lap on like the 4th lap, and so drivers would go like a quarter of a second faster each time round. Is that still the case now? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe it is. The Formula 3 car doesn't tend to change too much from season to season. Wow, I mean, I think halfway through last year they made it very difficult to drive. The tyres would just go off within like 10 laps, and from then on it would be undrivable. But luckily, the previous season we didn't really have that problem. You could push pretty much for the whole race, as here on Apex the formats are short enough that you don't really have to worry about tyres pretty much at all. And yeah, especially during qualifying, you do get quicker and quicker. That first lap is kind of just experimenting a little bit, you know, warming up those tyres as well, maybe testing if the slipstream does work, if it's worth it or not. Second lap, starting to get up to speed a little bit more. There's Dorian O'Rourke. Can he keep it on the track? I think he's going to be able to, and yes, he does, but unfortunately won't be able to get another lap time in. But yeah, it was sort of that 3rd and 4th lap where you're most likely to set your quickest lap time, as fuel does play a big part into this car, so you kind of want to set your last lap time on basically the exact amount of liters you need.
And of course, this is an open setup series. As early posture up, he was very strong last time. That moves up to 5th place. Dylan Platt also improving up to 11th. Yeah, open setup. However, the drivers do get a free Apex Racing Academy subscription just for signing up, and so a few of them, I'm sure, will be using those setups because of the free subscription, but also because they produce a lot of very good setups for a variety of cars. And of course, not only do they get setups, they also get track guides and B-laps and O-laps and all the stuff that you need in order to get faster in a variety of cars. So do certainly check out apexracingac.com, as Tobias also looked very racy on that last lap. Unfortunately, he ran out of time to set it, and so we go over to our first heat, and it is Gianfranco Pagotto alongside his Italian rival Giuseppe Diodone. Ole Postrup with that late strong lap to move up to 3rd position. There's Kevin Zwemstra. Christian Glamsetter's top of the Pro-Ams for this heat. Dylan Platt starts in 6th place. He usually improves a fair bit in the race, does Dylan, so watch out for that. Then it's Jonas Simonsen, Jamie Tewksbury, another strong qualifying performance from him. Nina Hahn, Ricard Boberg, a little bit lower than what he'd like in 10th place. Hakon Jökulsson in 11th, and Garrett Spence in 12th. I must say, this is a very strong heat, I think. There's going to be some disappointed drivers not to get into the top 6.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, those pros most likely are going to dominate most of it, and we might see 1 or 2 Pro-Ams slip up into those positions. Of course, these races are so unpredictable. You can guess all you want, but realistically, no clue what's going to happen in these next 10 minutes. And I think that's an absolutely great thing to have, you know, just not knowing what's going to happen next. And I can't wait. I don't know who's going to win this race in any of the classes.
No, yeah, it should be really, really good. We wait to see how effective the overtaking is. It can be very tricky to overtake around this circuit, but at the same time, if you set up your car to be a little bit faster down the straights, you can go for a move at the end of the Andretti straight. So wouldn't necessarily rule it out, but one of the more important grid positions of the season. It's not a long run down to turn 1 either. We were just moments away from getting round 3 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series underway. The lights are on and away we launch. It's not a good start for the 134. It wasn't actually a good start either from Ole Postrup. Got a lot of wheel spin. He'll do well to hold on to that position. Christian Glamsetzer looking racy. He's trying to get past Kevin Zwemstra, but Zwemstra actually on the attack heading into turn 2. The 4 of them super close to one another, and that's off the circuit for Glamsetzer. Could be into the wall. He's sliding off as the track goes downhill, and he does reach the wall. That could be suspension damage. Either way, he's lost a lot of time.
Yeah, again, one of my picks going very, very well there. He's slipped all the way down to the back of the pack. We've got some battles brewing up. Jökulsson has made an absolutely amazing start, up 3 places already, up into 8th. He'll want to be going a few better. That's Postrup on the attack, I believe, on one of the Alcansett cars, but couldn't quite get it done. You've got Simonsen right in perfect view of these battles going on up ahead of him. Is he going to try and get involved? I believe he is. He's got a nice slipstream. Double slipstream, of course. He's going to tuck in behind Zwemstra. Is he going to go on the attack? It will be very, very aggressive if he does. Trying to go around the outside to not get involved too much. Going to let these guys battle, which I think is the smart thing to do. Platt and Zwemstra, nothing separates them, but Zwemstra just about stays ahead. Another battle in the background. We've got Jökulsson and Hahn battling. Jökulsson just about holds on to 8th place. And wow, look at that. Jamie as well, up in 7th place in the AM. He's going very, very strong at the moment.
As Jamie's up to 8th place, but that's why Simonsen has gone off into the wall. Now that could easily just be a case of dipping a wheel onto the grass on corner exit and then overcorrecting it and swerving to the left. That tends to be what you see at that turn 1. So really, the changes, top 4 are all the same, and then it's really the drops for Glamsetzer and Simonsen, the 2 disappointments, and that's where a lot of the other changes on the grid have come from.
Honestly, the battle that I'm really interested to see is between the top 2, to be honest. Diodone just about sticking in Pagotto's slipstream at the moment, and down this back straight, the Andretti straightaway, of course, it does really pay dividends. You gain around 0.3 of a second, maybe even more if you can use it all the way to its advantage. And he's honestly, that slipstream is keeping him in that fight for the lead. But does he have that raw pace to try and get past Bigotto? You know, we've got another 8 minutes to find out who's going to come out on top as they start to pull away from the likes of Postrup, Zwemstra and Platt behind us. They don't quite have the pace to match them. Here's Boberg going on the defense and attack from Hahn and Jacolson respectively, and just slots into 8th place right in between them. And I can imagine he's under a bit of pressure right now.
Yeah, I think that was Boberg, getting past Jacolson. Jacolson seemed very close, and now Jacolson dips a wheel onto the grass. Will he avoid the wall? Yes. No. He has hit the wall, but not much. Glamsets is back up to 10th place. Simonsen in the pits as it stands. And there are the changes so far. But yeah, Boberg, I think, went straight round the outside. Hahn kind of holding them up a little bit. And Simonsen was looking, or apologies, Jacolson, the Icelandic driver, was looking very strong, but not any more, unfortunately. As we tune back in with our top 2, quarter of a second the gap, heading into the S's.
Yeah, and I was just noticing there, Didone was getting a little bit closer than he was on the previous lap by about a 10th, I'd say, going into Moss corner. And if he can do that again this lap, he's going to have a really, really good chance into the S's to try and go for a move. It's difficult which line is the better one. Round the outside is very, very risky. But if you can stick it round the outside, then you'll have the inside for the second to last corner, which then puts you on a good run for the final corner. So it's kind of a mishmash of which line do I take it. Both can work, it just depends how you play it out. But small mention to Jamie in 6th place there. He's going absolutely amazingly. He's setting some good lap times right now and kind of keeping tabs with the pros a little bit, but definitely pulling away from the likes of Hahn behind. And he's going absolutely superb, Sam.
I was to say, I've got Jimmy Fluke sat next to me here because anyone who tuned in on the Apex Racing League and Apex Racing TV social medias on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook will know that Jimmy was very complimentary of his namesake until it all went wrong. Zwemstra still in 4th place, but Platt was very close to being able to overtake him. And yeah, these top 5, all similar pace. Tewksbury is losing a little bit of time, as you were saying before, Anne, but it's not a whole lot, only a couple of tenths of a second that last time round. They dropped back in 6th position, but that would be all the place that he needs. Hahn in 7th place, quite comfortable there. Boberg not really putting as much pressure as he was before. I think he may have made a mistake there, Rikard Boberg, because he did look faster than Hahn for a couple of laps. And so we're... yeah, got a little bit of a gap now pretty much between everyone, and that gives us a chance to have a look back at the race start.
Yeah, the race start was fairly clean, apart from, of course, Glamsetter going off really, really close there between Zwemstra. And then, yeah, you see Glamsetter there just going a little bit too wide and just bonked the wall. And don't really know how much damage he got from that, but hopefully not too much. We had some... more battles as well up and down the grid, and this is actually what happened to, I believe it's Johansson. Oh, just...
So this is Simonsen, so...
Ah, Simonsen, my apologies. Yeah, just a little bit too aggressive on the first lap and unfortunately paid the price there. That's the trouble with these F3 cars. Go a little bit too aggressive on the first few laps and they will be very, very punishing. And this was the battle with Boberg and Hahn as well. Very, very close between those two. And there's another spin there. And yes, a lot of mistakes coming out of this track in the early part of the race, and some being more damaging than others. We had Simonsen, who, of course, slammed straight into the wall and pretty much ended his race. Others, like Glamsetter, got very, very lucky with minimal damage. But look at this, Sam. Didone getting very, very close to Bigotto. He might have a chance here.
This is more likely. He's within 0.4 of a second. I don't think he's been within a half a second so far going onto the straight. And then we wait to see how much time. Oh, he's not dipping into the draft. I wonder why. Tactics, people, tactics. Well, let us know in the chat if you know what Giuseppe Didone is thinking. These guys, I still don't believe they're part of the same team. At least they're not representing the same team. They are representing Wavitsley Racing Team, Bigotto, who we always have many drivers from in a variety of series. And Giuseppe Didone is from Sim Design. Yeah, why do you think he would dip out of the slipstream in that manner there, Aaron?
It could be for a couple of reasons. Maybe he just doesn't want to go on the attack in this heat race, and is just fine with coming P2. Me personally, I'd rather win than come P2. I'm sure most drivers would, of course, rather have that. As I believe Spence has gone off somewhere. He's down. Oh, that's big damage. That's a rear wing off of that Formula 3 car, and that's going to be the end of his race as he slips all the way down to last. And the only other AM driver that we have in this race, unfortunately, is old
Tewksbury. Oh, no.
Well, what can you say? What can you say?
The Manx driver, all at sea there in the middle of the track, and well, fortunately at least, he doesn't seem to have much damage. So he's now back around Glamsetter. Hahn on course now for Hahn's first ever A final, I believe. I think it might be Olympus Esports' first A final of the season as well, because Paul Joseph Clist also representing Olympus Esports. Big fan of all these guys, because yeah, they always put in a lot of effort, always attend all the rounds that they enter. Ooh, that's a big Cypher's Wemstra. Wow, that was a good save.
Yeah, there was talking about some saves that could possibly be made in this race, and well, there's the first one that we've seen. Other drivers not getting so lucky, and unfortunately spinning off into the grass and eventually hitting the wall, as it seems like half the grid's best friend is Barry R today, and hopefully some other drivers will be a little bit more fortunate, as the top 5 really have been setting the pace. Unsurprisingly, all the pro drivers, they've put in some really good lap times, kept it clean mostly on the track, and yeah, Pagotto now just starting to edge away from Diadone as they're coming up to white flag, I believe, next time around.
Really good pace for Postrup, kind of bringing that gap down ever so slightly with time. Was quarter of a second faster just in sector 2 of this lap. And so he seems very much on the pace as he was 2 weeks ago. Well, I think he managed to get a podium actually as well on that occasion on his Apex Racing League debut. But right now, for Pagotto, and this is an absolutely awesome angle to see. He's got a very nice setup. That's a very nice wheel. I'm not exactly sure which wheel that is, but it's certainly nice. Might be a Moser wheel? Looks a bit like a Moser wheel. Yeah, it's helping him along, and yeah, just half a lap away now as we reach the 10 minutes.
Yeah, I have to agree, that setup looks absolutely gorgeous. The triples, very clean looking steering wheel there, and it seems to be paying off for him as he's just starting to edge away from everybody else. Dido not in that slipstream anymore, and his challenge rather fell off over the course of the last few laps. Can't really say I'm surprised. I thought Pagotto was more or less going to run away with this race. He hasn't actually really run away with it, but just has kept it clean, nice and consistent, not really been overstressed, and well, he's coming around the final few quarters to take his first victory of the day.
Yeah, there we go. Gianfranco Pagotto, after a brilliant VIR round, he's keeping up the momentum. That's 3 wins in a row for him now, and that is a comfortable race victory to start the day here at Mosport. Platz finishing in 5th place, very much lonely, but Nina Hahn, I think the big story there, managing to get through in 6th place. Christian Glamsetter does not look like a happy Christian Glamsetter. He's down in 8th place. Considering where he was after lap 1, that's a decent recovery. I'm surprised he was only 15 seconds off. He wasn't even that far away from his teammate Boberg in the end. Both of them will be looking to take one of the 3 spots in the B final. But there isn't much of a turn. Well, actually, no, we've still got Simonson to cross the line in just a moment. But yeah, nice work there from Pagotto. Looks easy enough. But yeah, I thought Hahn, like, what a drive from Nina. Has made a few mistakes so far this season, but no mistakes there.
Yeah, just yeah, there was a little bit of argy-bargy at the start of the race with the likes of Boberg, that eventually managed to come out on top, setting really good lap times there. And I believe Platt as well made a mistake on that final lap. He was 5 seconds off. So I don't know what happened to him, but he's very lucky that you know, whatever happened to him, he was able to keep that 5th place and come into the A final.
Exactly, so there's your top 6 who get straight through to the A final, and our grid for the second heat of the evening is Jesper Sandström alongside Tobias Olsen. That's a nice rivalry. Then it's Aberdeen and Bogner, Gibb, Kabak, Hop, Lee, Arroyo, Cabral, Walsh, Anglist, the 12 drivers for this heat. Sandstrom, the only man yet to get onto the grid. We didn't see many changes off the launch in race 1. Olsen will be aware that this is his best chance to get past his fellow countrymen. The lights once again illuminating the home of Canadian motorsports. And again we launch. It's a fantastic start for Sandstrom. He's already 5 car lengths clear, and Olsen is having to go defensive against Aberdeen. He can't go defensive against Aberdeen, and he's already having to look in his mirrors as there's big contacts in the background and off into the wall. Edward Pop losing a place, but it's Joe Walsh who made big contact there. It's an awful start for Tobias Olsen, the 2-time champion. Behind that, there's not many changes, but Walsh an early casualty.
Yeah, I think I heard one of the cars there off the line. I did hear a lot of wheel spin from one of them, and I'm guessing now that's Olsen. Sandstrom released that clutch absolutely to perfection. And yeah, Olsen just didn't really... His reaction times were okay, but just that second phase when you release the clutch, it just bogged down massively, and he's down to 4th now, and absolutely a horrible start for him. Nonetheless, he's of course going to try and come back through the field now, trying to overtake Bognar. This is going to be a bold move I was talking about in the last race around the outside. It can work if you are brave enough, and he's just about sticking it there, and he has made it work, but there's contact, and Bognar's off into the wall and spins into the pit lane, and that is going to be the end of his challenge, most likely for the top 6. That was really unfortunate. He just probably should have backed out a little bit, let Olsen through. He had the opportunity to get him back onto the final corner, but just got a little bit too optimistic, too close for comfort, and paid the price for it.
Happens so often that you can have brilliant alongside battles. That's a cool angle there for Edward Pop, using a VR headset clearly right there, and you can see exactly where he is looking in that car. Yeah, it happens so often through those S's, just the tiniest of contacts and you get spat out, especially into that wall with the pit lane so close. There's absolutely zero runoff, and Pop only 0.3 of a second off Andy Lee. This is for the last advancing spot.
Yeah, I think Pop has got some really, really good pace there. He goes to the outside again. Is he going to try and replicate what Olsen did just 1 lap ago? He seems to be a lot further ahead than Olsen was, and he sneaks his way up into the top 6. That was a really, really good, brave move there from Pop, and moves himself up into the top 6. Can he challenge his fellow German in front of him, and possibly even Gibb for 4th place? He's got some decent pace on him, we know that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he could catch up if Kaibach and Gibb start fighting.
If anyone else has a VR headset and they're racing our leagues, please do sync up your it's clearly not a webcam, but you know, sync up your camera using the link that we post to all the drivers in the announcements, because that looks awesome. That does look real cool. So essentially leading the way, 4.5 tenths of a second clear of Aberdeen. Really good to see this competitiveness from Aberdeen. Problem is, they are teammates, and so they're probably not going to risk it that much. And it was interesting last time out, we had Zwemstra sat behind Sandstrom, and he actually refused to overtake Sandstrom. The logic being that Sandstrom was ahead in the championship, and therefore he didn't want to overtake, which I was a little bit disappointed by, because of course it's very early on in the championship, but Zwemstra very much playing the team game on that occasion, so we were a bit denied a fight. So seeing that Zwemstra wasn't going to overtake in that scenario, I seriously doubt Aberdeen's going to send it on the current race leader.
It would be very entertaining if he did, of course. I think,
yeah, that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see.
I think, you know, me personally, I always take any opportunity to win.
Have you overtaken out a teammate?
A teammate has taken out me. I've never taken out a teammate.
Okay.
It was a couple seasons ago. I don't know if you remember. I was racing with Jack Reeve.
Yeah.
He ended up slamming into me at round 1 Nürburgring, which at the time I was just having a laugh because we were like way down the order, so it didn't really matter. But I found out that ended up costing me the championship.
There you go. Yep.
From the points I lost there. So yeah, Jack, if you're watching,
Hasn't forgotten.
It was a good year ago now, but you know, these things change. But speaking of changes, there's a change for 4th place as Kaibak and Gib go side by side. Once again, that outside line proving to be the really just OP.
Aberdeen. No, sorry, just ignore me.
A bit of a lag spike there for Aberdeen, but honestly, that outside line into the S's, if you can just edge ahead a tiny bit and break a little bit later, keep the momentum going around the outside, it's a tough challenge, but if you can do it, like we've seen with Olsen and now Kaibak, it's very obviously the right line to go as Cabral there getting very close to the grass going through turn 2.
Yeah, real nice work there from Michael Kaibak. So many of these Pro-Am drivers have got history in Apex Racing League, and I think Kaibak is as a driver who's improved a lot over the seasons that he's done. I think this might be his 3rd Formula 3 championship in Apex Racing League. Here was the race start, and see Olsen absolutely trying as hard as he could to crowd out Aberdeen. He actually got a very poor run through turn 1, and yeah, well, this was what happens. I mean, yeah.
Towards each other there.
So that was. Apologies, it was a Arroyo in the wall, wasn't it? But it was Walsh who made the contact, and that was Clist just going past the pair of them.
Yeah, that was a very awkward incident, and that was, I believe, Bognar there around the final corner, and yeah, just got ever too close to Olsen there, and yeah, you can see he got suspension and front wing damage from that. Big shame, since we know how quick Bognar can be, and he's just slipping further and further away from the rest of the field. Unfortunately, with that damage, but nonetheless, I believe he's going to be a man on a mission in that B final.
There's a lot of quick drivers in the B final. I think generally we just got a very competitive field. It's 24 drivers, 35 signed up for the series, so a fair few absent, albeit a few more attending than VAR. Of course, well, Isaac Arvidsson, best of luck to him. I know that he's racing in real life this weekend. Oh no, Andy Lee has dropped down. He was having a good run, was as high as 6th place earlier on. Trying not to get it beached, he's done that well. The Goliath Racing by 36 Tech driver, though, down to 9th place. But yeah, Jesper, apologies, not Jesper. Isaac Arvidsson, I think he had a bit of an injury after doing some karting a few years ago, but he is back racing today, so I really do hope that he's having a good time of it, or is having such a bad time of it that he has to come back to racing with us on Friday evening. So one or the other, preferably, because Isaac, of course, the defending champion, all-time record holder for the most consecutive wins in a single season at 11, which he managed to surpass Will Redford in that statistic in the first race of this season. But that is why he is not here tonight.
Maybe that's the only reason he turned up for Road America, just to break that record and just be like,
yeah,
that's it, I don't need to turn up anymore, I've done what I've wanted to do, I've won a championship, I've broken the record, I don't need to continue with this, I'm going to just go do racing in real life instead. I kind of envy him, just a tiny bit, but yeah, all the best luck to Arvidsson, of course, and we wish him the best of luck. And if he wants to return at all, you know, we're always open. Arvidsson, we always appreciate a good battle or two, especially between the likes of Olsen and all the Swedes. To be fair, they're all pretty quick, to be honest. If you're a Swede, you've always got that pace advantage, but. Is Gibb still defending from Pop, and Pop's giving a fairly good challenge at the moment for 5th place. Does he need to do this overtake? No, but he's a racing driver, so obviously he's going to try and grab every single point that he can, and I'd probably end up doing the same, to be honest. And I'd say he looks a little bit quicker than Gibb, but Connor's actually putting up a pretty good fight right now. With only a few laps to go, I don't know on this one, I really don't.
Charles Bushell, apologies Charles, just very happy that he's... Oh, Olsen! Oh, no. Oh, no, Tobias Olsen. Oh. Wow, there's not much of that car left. He should finish in 10th place. Jay Walsh is still driving around, so Olsen will need to take to the circuit in order to ensure he does beat Walsh, but big disappointment for Tobias, and another big hitter in our B5 means that Cesar Sebral, from 10th place on the grid, he is looking to get through, and Paul Joseph Clist, we could almost get 2 Olympus esports drivers into the A final, which would make Charles Bushell very happy. I was going to say before that Charles thinking that maybe the hard left by Walsh looked like a hardware failure. So maybe Walsh had a hardware failure. And that would make sense because it did take him a while to get back out on circuit. But there is Clist, not far away, but 2.5 seconds away right now from an advancing spot.
Well, I mean, he's got 1 lap left to try and overtake, and I think Olsen actually has probably just given up. He's not had the best of starts to this season, to be honest. Of course, making contact with one of the Alcantech drivers at Road America. To be fair, Simrace Sweden, we predicted before this season that they would be on top, but they've not actually had that good of a start to the season, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately both of them had to miss VIR, and obviously with Arvidsson around for this round as well, they're having to run a limited schedule. But yeah, certainly that Road America round was disappointing for them. I'm sure they'll get more race wins, but this man is looking to get his 3rd race win of the season. In fact, it might even be his 4th. It will be his 4th, as Pop has got past Gibb in the background. Bow's in the lead. Jesper Sandstrom takes another race win, this time at Mosport. Aberdeen in a comfortable 2nd place. Who is going to get 4th? It is going to be Gibb. He was able to respond, and that's a very satisfying 4th place for the No Limits driver. Beats Edward Pop, and our last advancing driver, Cesar Sebral.
Yeah, I was saying that Gibb was putting up an amazing piece of defensive work, and he kept it going right until the end there and just managed to keep Edward Pop. I think Pop might have gone a bit too deep into those final few corners to get a good run, enough to overtake him, but they both made it into the A final anyway, and of course moved up another spot because of Olsen's mistake. And Kaibak got 3rd. I didn't even realise he's on the podium. Didn't even see that.
Yeah, really good day so far for Geeks Energy Sim Racing. They've got 2 cars through. Could get 3 cars through because they got Jakon Jakulsson in the next race. But there was your finishing results. Top 6 going straight through to the A final. And our B final is already gridding up. Ricard Boberg is going to be on pole position. Alongside him, Paul Joseph Clist. And it's Christian Glamsetter, who you surely feel like is one of the favourites to get through. Then it's Leonard Bogner. Jimmy Tewksbury looked quick, but of course spun at Moss Corner. That's what let him down in his heat. Andy Lee spun as well, albeit he wasn't going to get through anyway. Hakon Jakulsson in 7th place, and it's Tobias Olsen, surely the favourite to get through for Simrace Sweden, the 2-time champion. Jonas Simonsen in 9th place, and it's Jay Walsh, Garrett Spence, and Dorian O'Roy rounding out our 12-car field. Oh my god, the uniformity, brilliant stuff. 12 in Heat 1, 12 in Heat 2, and 12 in the B final.
For those people who have OCD out there, that must be very, very satisfying. And this B final probably going to be the closest race we've had so far, to be honest.
I think that's a very good shout. 14 minutes of driving will commence once those lights are gone. And now we launch. It's a great start from 3rd on the grid for Christian Gladstedt. So he might already be into the lead. But straight away it's a No Limit Sim Racing Academy 1-2. Boberg leading Gladstedt, who wasn't quite able to get past, as there's some moving about in the background. Jamie Tewksbury trying to gain some places. And already off the circuit is Jamie Tewksbury into the wall. And that's his chances of moving through gone. And I think a time have gone into outer space as well. Ricard Boberg has gone wide. Christian Gladstedt is trying to get past the teammates. Are trying to work together but not take each other out at the same time. Garrett Spence, their teammates, has spun off in the background. They're trying to afford space. Glamsetter is up into the lead now, but they're all very slow, and there's contact. That was Olsen, I think, going into the back of Andy Lee, but it looks like everyone's tyres, apart from Spence and Tewksbury, are still pointing in the right way.
I feel like they're all thinking it's the final lap of the race. We've only just gotten started and everyone's being so aggressive. We had Jamie's tyre genuinely probably hit one of the satellites in space. It went flying. I've never seen anything like that in iRacing before. We've got cars going nearly 3 wide into the final few corners. That's Clist making contact with Andy Lee, I believe, who's lost his rear wing. More contact there with Dorian Arroyo. And
that's again, surely. Again. Or did they get through?
I think he got through.
Wow.
Oh, that was super close on those final few corners. Again, everyone's being so aggressive on this opening lap, and even Olsen, you know, bonked Andy Lee out of the way, and Andy Lee got bonked again. around those final few corners from Klist. And Klist was one of those drivers on that opening lap to slam into the wall, and I don't actually think he got any suspension damage from it. And if he did, he's still hanging on in there just about for now, but he slammed into that outside wall on the exit of turn 1, and somehow is still going, I'd say strong, kind of strong in P6.
And Spencer's got past Walsh, by the way, up into 9th place. Don't rule out Garrett Spence by any means. A tough season, I think, so far has Garrett's. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Stevenson passed Klist as well into the top 6. Usually that would mean getting through, but not for this B final. Only the top 3 getting through for this race as Olsen. Oh, Olsen needs to come into the pits, so maybe is that a meatball? I mean, his pace was all right, wasn't it? But like iRacing not happy, and that's probably not going to be able to make it anymore. That's probably Tobias Olsen not getting through to the A final.
Yeah, he might come back onto the track anyway. Just he's already on pit exit, so yeah, he's definitely coming back out. And of course, anything can happen in these races. I remember once, I think it might have been last season. I had a pit lane start at I think it was Fuji. And Fuji, known for having the longest and slowest pit lane in the world, at 37 miles an hour, down the longest straight known to man. It's so painful, and like I was so far behind, and I ended up coming through the field and getting into the A final. So never say never, never give up, and anything can happen. But these guys just about 3 seconds off of where they want to be right now. Simonsen and Jakolson going side by side into the S's. Which line's going to pay dividends for drivers this time? A little bit of wheel banging there. Still side by side as we head into the final corner. And Simonsen is just about losing for now. Jakolson putting up a good defensive battle. Simonsen going to the outside of turn 1 again. But that line most likely isn't going to work. But Simonsen really piling on the pressure, and it's only just spreading out that gap to the top 3. And all that's Jakolson going very wide and allows Simonsen right on through. And maybe Simonsen can put his foot down now, try and catch up 3.5 seconds. Bit of an ask in 10 minutes, but, you know, again, never say never.
And yeah, ooh, Rickard, no. Come on, Rickard. His fellow countryman manages to move past. It's a fantastic race for the Nordics so far, with the top 5 being represented by Norwegian, Swedish or Icelandic drivers as it stands. But which order will those drivers be? Looks like Bognar is going to get past Bobo. Bobo actually lifting out of that one before the end of the Andretti straight to slot into 3rd position. So not particularly comfortable, it looks like, Rickard. You know, usually he's equal or maybe just a little bit slower than Christian Glamsetzer. So you can see, despite starting on pole position, Glamsetzer has really pulled away from his long-running team. Of course, we're part of Crips Racing for several seasons. These guys have been around since about season 3, I want to say, of this championship. Probably the most experienced drivers of anyone, but still just as high a desire as ever to get into the latter stages of these race meetings. Stevenson in a comfortable 4th place, and Paul Joseph Clist with good pace today. This is a very competitive round for Clist because he is catching up now to Jakolson. He's got plenty of support in the chat from Charles Michel, Dan S, and Scott Mokes as well.
I just think it's just a very competitive field in general, to be honest. We've had some really, really good battles, especially in this B final. Bit of contact, you know, here and there, not as clean as the first 2 heats, but still entertaining nonetheless. And yeah, it's a good day if you're, you know, part of the Scandinavians, apart from Olsen. But if we discount him, yeah, you're going well.
Yes, as they so often do in this series. However, if you're from a nation which has a red background to your flag and a single white object in the middle, then it's an awful day for you, because Andy Lee and Jamie Tewksbury are currently in 11th and 12th position. They are back out on circuit, however. Yeah, that is where they are in 11th and 12th. A quick shout out, of course, to Virtual Racing School, one of the title sponsors for this championship. And of course, Virtual Racing School offering data packs for many, many different cars. But you probably all know about their data packs, their setups and their tuition and all of that. But of course they're also in the hardware business as well, delivering their Direct Force Pro wheelbase, pedals and wheel rim as well. So big thanks to them for sponsoring us on Apex Racing League. And yeah, do certainly check out VRS.racing or apexracingsim.com for more details. As what's that, Cliss? Yeah, of course, sliding into the wall. And yeah, I didn't see that at first, honestly, Aaron, but I remember you talking about how he's still going. I don't know how he's still going. That was a huge hit. Yeah,
I genuinely thought that was it for him, because that was a huge hit. And an even bigger hit was...
I mean, that wheel. What's going on there? Come on, iRacing. This is an old circuit and everything, but there aren't rocket launchers hidden in those tyre barriers.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised. He went very quickly and bonk, and his tyre is just gone. The tether there, just failing is an understatement. Completely just disintegrating, just like this man's rear wing. And yeah, that battle at the end of the first lap was getting way too close for comfort. But then these guys, Simonsen and Jakobsen, putting on a fairly good battle, and Jakobsen just feeling the pressure from Simonsen a bit too much, and got a little bit wiggly on the exit of turn 2, and Bosch right on through goes Simonsen, and he's currently running in 4th place, about 1.5 seconds behind where he wants to be.
And then that was a slight mistake for Boberg, which cost him the position to Bogner. He's actually dropped further back from Bogner. Olsen catching up to the leaders. He's the fastest man out on circuit, just at the fastest sector of anyone he's lapping. About best part of a second a lap faster than Ricard Boberg, who is the driver that he needs to catch in order to get through. However, you would need some 16 laps in order to catch, and he's got 5. So unless something big happens to Boberg and Simonsen, which could happen because Simonsen is going to try to overtake Boberg, I'm sure, by the end of this race, looks very unlikely that the season 5 and season 6 champion is going to be in the final race of the meeting.
Just hasn't really had the luck, or to be fair with Olsen, when he's having a bad day, he's having a bad day, and it just gets worse and worse progressively. Saw it, I think it was last season, especially at Nürburgring, which I benefited from and ended up coming second at that race. I was absolutely ecstatic. You know, I think it was a dive bomb from Olsen into Sandstrom, into turn 3, I believe. And yeah, that was a scary moment, just to say the least. And some of these drivers probably having a few jump scares of their own this race, as it's been fairly chaotic up and down the field. But the top 5 drivers staying relatively clean at the moment, but a big pace difference there from some of these drivers, and of course Olsen really setting on the pace. But like you said, he's just going to run out of time.
Yeah, wants to recover as many points as he can. Ricard Boberg's very inconsistent, so he just went 3 tenths faster than Simonsen. But then you kind of see these slightly poorer sectors once again from him. Lost 3 tenths in the first sector of this lap. And that's the gap coming, apologies to Bogner, and then that's the gap to Simonsen. Was as high as 3.6 seconds at one point, but just down to 1.7. Has actually sort of balanced out in the last 3 laps or so. But yeah, on this lap, Boberg lost 3 tenths in sector 1, but he gained half a second in sector 2. I think Simonsen is struggling a bit in that sector 2. Apologies, only 2 tenths in sector 2. It was the previous lap where he set a particularly bad time, and then this sector 3 usually they're fairly even, as Olsen has got past Arroyo, so that's 1 place up. He's up to 7th. Yeah,
getting a bit close there as we head into the S's, as Arroyo slipping further and further down to 8th place now. Our AM drivers not really having the best of days today. None of them look like they're going to make it into the A final, but we've still got around 2 or 3 laps to go here. So, you know, if something happens to Boberg or Bogner or Blamsetter, you just never know, and maybe Klist can put himself up into the top 3. But it's a bit of a shame, you know, because the likes of Simonsen, he's had a good race. He's up 5 places, but you know, because it's now not the top 4 drivers, bit of a shame. I mean, he does deserve to be in the A final. Got a bit unlucky in his heat, but you know, rules are rules at the end of the day.
Yes, rules are rules. And yeah, just the top, or just 15 drivers going through to the A final for tonight. Yeah, currently just missing out on that one is Jonas Simpson. That gap back down to 1.4 seconds. It was up to 1.9 seconds for a moment, but really has cut it down significantly, did Simpson. I think at the end of that last lap must have been a mistake from Boberg. Maybe not. I think I'm making up stuff. 1.7 seconds anyway is the gap. That keeps on ebbing and flowing. I don't get that fight whatsoever. And Simpson's going way fast now in Sector 2. It looked like he was consistently losing 0.3 of a second through that sector, and then on that last lap he matched him, but then failed to go any faster through the rest of the sectors. There it is. And rather than me verbally saying the sectors, that graphic is much better at doing it. There you go. A little bit chopping out, but yeah, if Bobo keeps it clean, should be safe. We've only got one more lap to go after this.
And we saw Boberg make a mistake into that corner. Moss just, I believe it was on lap 1 or 2, and managed to keep it on brilliantly, but lost the place because of it. And yeah, he's going fairly well at the moment, just going nice and consistent, and hopefully will make his way into the A final. And of course, we'll be starting last in the A final, and we'll see what kind of comeback he will be able to do. We've seen a few comebacks on the last few races in these B finals. People having dreadful heats, going into the B final, absolutely smashing it, going into the A final and smashing it again. And those kind of comeback stories are, you know, some of the best in this series. It's so satisfying when you've had a bad day, and then it just gets a little bit better, and then the A final, you come 5th from last. I'm definitely not speaking from personal experience, but you know, it is kind of satisfying when you are last, and then everyone in front of you is off the track. That's quite a nice feeling, and you move on through and gain places, and I believe Olsen's made another mistake there.
Yeah, Olsen's day certainly isn't getting better and better. It's getting worse and worse, and it looks like he will lose out to the Mexican driver, might even lose out to another North American in the form of Garrett Spencer as well. But this man, Christian Glamsetter, he was not happy. He was banging his wheel at the end of his heat, but I think after this one he'll be much more satisfied. Christian Glamsetter for No Limit Sim Racing books his place in the A final. No celebration. He knows that he should be in the A final, and so just getting the job done. Bognar in second place. Boberg holds on in third. Simpson did get close in that last lap. Jorgensen was in 5th. Klist in 6th, and Olsen was able to get past Arroyo, no, but not very long. I'm not sure if he's even got enough wheels on that thing to get to the line. He's going to try, though.
He's going to try.
But he's lost out to Arroyo and Spence. Ooh. Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah, you know, like I said, when it goes bad for Olsen, it goes bad. He has a horrible day, and it just gets worse and worse. And unfortunately, that's going to bring his day to an end. We will not see him in the A final. I believe he's the only pro driver we will not see in the A final, so gives a pro-am, or maybe even an... Actually, I was going to say an am. We're not going to have any ams in the A final, I don't think.
Yeah, really bad from Tobias there, because he's absolutely messed up some brilliant class divisions there, because you can see there, you know, in the A final, it's just pros and pro-ams, and then you top 5 pro-ams, and then you got that blot of red, like a tomato in the middle of... I know, a nice clean floor, and yeah, it's absolutely random. So thanks, Tobias. We're going to go to a slight ad break, and we'll be back in just a few moments for the final race of the evening. Welcome back to the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. Of course, you just watched an advert for Apex Racing Sim. Big thanks to them for sponsoring, and of course, if you want to try out Virtual Racing School's equipment, their pedals, their wheelbase, and their wheel rim, along with also their rigs as well. And just have a lot of fun at the Apex Racing Sim Centre located in Corby. Do visit apexracingsim.com in order to book a rig for a variety of times. Of course, you can book for friends as well, and book just for yourself if you want to have a quick drive, test any of the equipment. And of course, also, we can host events as well at the Sim Centre, including the use of our studio that we are using today. So yeah, certainly do check out apexracingsim.com for more information. 35 seconds to go in this warm-up. I think overtaking has been very tricky so far tonight, Aaron, in the both heats. It looked like it wasn't really on. Do you expect any change now that the positions are a bit more coveted in the A final?
I think, especially in Pro, we might see a bit more battles. Of course, we have all the pros together now. I think Lee Aberdeen might be able to put up a bit more pressure than we've seen from him this season. We're, of course, going to have the likes of Sandstrom and Diadone and Pagotto putting up a good battle at the front of the field. And hopefully they can all keep it clean. And it seems like the start here actually seems to be quite important. That last, I think it was Heat 2, where Olsen had a horrible start and basically put him out of contention to get in. But yeah, I think the start's going to be crucial here. Maybe keep it a bit more clean than we've had in the past few races, and we might see the field shuffle around a little bit.
So there it is, the grid for the final race of the evening. Pagotto on pole position ahead of Sandstrom, the two drivers who have taken a final victory so far this season on the front row of the grid tonight. Then it's Giuseppe Diadone, Lee Aberdeen, both of which looked very quick. So too actually did Ole Postjup. Michael Kabach had a fantastic drive in his heat. He starts ahead of Kevin Wormstra, so Wormstra will be looking to get past early on. Then it's Connor Gibb, Dylan Platt, Edward Pop, Nina Hahn, Cesar Sebral, Christian Glanset, Leonard Bognar, and Ricard Boberg in 15th position, rounding out your third round of the season A final. And all the drivers are onto the grid, and this is going to be an absolutely crucial launch. Who can get into turn 1? Can Sandstrom replicate that superb start from his heat? The 5 lights are on, and away we launch. It looks like a good start for our pole sitter. Pagotto is all safe and away. The top 2 rows all very evenly off the line. It's Aberdeen and Postjup who are very close to one another. In fact, actually, I think it's Postjup having to go a little bit defensive right now because he's got Michael Kabach very close to him. He's on the perimeter. We have got Dylan Platt off the circuit. That'll be well into the wall. In fact, he's been able to hold on to it. That is a mighty save there from Dylan Platt. But Kabach past Postjup, also Sebral, Glam sets her up a place, but Platt is the big loss.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers do that. All 3 wide into Moss. That's brave. And they all come out clean as well. That's very, very surprising. Good driving there from all of these guys to keep it clean. I think we might have had a bit of contact there that we just saw off camera. I believe it was Cabral who might have been sent round. And yeah, they both unfortunately got tangled up in some incidents. And yeah, it's a good start from Pagotto so far. There is Sandstrom under pressure from Diadone. Diadone's going to try and go around the outside. There's contact again. Can they keep it clean? They just about can, and the Italian squeezes his way through up into second place. But Sandstrom is not going to let that one light up, and Aberdeen might even get involved in this battle as well.
And there goes Sandstrom. He's got straight back past going into turn 1. Well, this could get personal because this is aggressive driving very early on in this race, but they know how important track position is, and eventually it is an Italian 1-2. Diadone gave back past Wormstra, meanwhile, has dropped down. He was behind Kabach, I believe, but has dropped a couple of places by going wide at turn 1. Pagotto pulling away in the lead, but we're back to our top 2 from Heat 1, and Sandstrom dropping back. He yeah, just didn't have the that lap 1 pace, couldn't get the tyres up.
Yeah, I think a bit unfortunate there from Sandstrom. He's going to be super, super frustrated now. He's fallen into the hands of his teammate now, Lee Aberdeen, behind, who most likely won't attack him too much. but now he's got the hard part, you know, trying to get past Dido in front of him. He's going to try and go around the outside. Kind of seems to be the only place you can go, as defending the inside is the optimal route, but Sandstrom's going to try the outside anyway, the inside for this next corner, and moves himself up into second place. But like we saw a lap ago, Dido was the one to come out on top through that final corner, but then Sandstrom came right back at him. But unfortunately for Dido, not going to be able to challenge this one on this lap, and he's just going to have to sit behind.
After all my speak about how there's not going to be any overtaking in this race, how the positions are going to be fixed, we have second place changing every lap at the moment, and our top 6 are back to where they started, but Sandstrom has left himself 1.6 seconds to catch up to Bigot, so he's got much longer in this race than he would do in a heat, at least, to catch up, but it might still be a big test for the Road America winner. Further back in the field, we have Christian Glamsetter chasing after Edouard Pop. Both these guys have had a clean start. Glamsetter up 3 places. Behind him is his teammate Ricard Boberg, who is up 4 places. I think we could well see a move soon, as KBR has got past Hahn, who I think has had an issue up there. The German driver, Glamsetter, pulling alongside. Pop seems to have more pace, honestly, tonight, and he will comfortably move past. Further ahead, Zwemstra gets him back past Gibb after losing that pace at turn 1 a couple of laps previous.
Zwemstra hasn't had the start that he wanted, probably, getting stuck behind Kaibak. He's made his way back past the drivers that he lost to, but yeah, I think Zwemstra would definitely want to be a little bit higher than he is right now, maybe with his teammates who are up there in 4th and 2nd place, of course. But Postrup going fairly well at the moment. He's kind of in his own little space there in 5th place, not really close to Aberdeen, not really close to Kaibak, and he's going fairly comfortable, is the Swede at the moment. Kaibak, speaking of, he's going to be happy that he's stuck where he is. Going to be a good chunk of points if he can stay where he is, and he's made some really good progress over these past few seasons. I remember when he first joined, you know, he was fairly competitive, and has just gotten better and better every season. But here goes Aberdeen on Dido. Dido not really having the best of pace right now, as he's fallen victim now maybe to both Alcantec, and that's huge contact, and Aberdeen surely in the barriers. Can he keep it out of everyone else's way? Somehow, and I mean somehow, I don't know how, I think that was getting close.
Sure, I don't know why he's not going to the pits.
Yeah.
I don't think he could turn right.
Yeah.
Because he would have hit the wall with the left side. And yeah, I guess he just had no opportunity to turn right there whatsoever. Oh, what a shame. And I'm sure we'll get a replay of it, but that's just what happens with that corner, where it looked like Diodone maybe was a little bit scared and took a bit more curb on the first part, and that sort of forced him out. And then once you have contacts with such high loads on the tyres and such high speeds, there's only one way it's going to turn out.
Yeah, it did look like Diodone kind of had a bit of understeer. Again, I couldn't really see if he did actually end up touching the curb, and was trying to give Aberdeen space, but just ended up trying to give him too much space and ended up hitting that curb and went straight into Aberdeen. It was really, really heavy contact, and that kind of happened suddenly. And then, yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Sam. I believe he just hit a curb, and unfortunately is now out of this race, right down in 15th place. His teammate, though, has benefited from that. Zwemstra now up another place into 6th. Still trying to put pressure on the German of Kaibak in 5th, who is having a pretty good race today. I was talking about he's made some good progress over the past few seasons, and, well, if he can continue this run of form, he might be one of those top drivers in the Pro-Am Championship when the season comes to an end. But, yeah, I mean, the Pro-Am Championship is super, super close. You've got Gibb, Glamsetter, Pop, and Boberg kind of all in a battle right now, separated by about 2 or 3 seconds. And No Limits having a fairly good race.
Because Dylan Platt was very fortunate not to hit the wall on that one. That's contact.
What was that?
And that is off for Boberg, and he is in the wall. But he should be able to continue. I think that was just front wing damage that he picked up there rather than the tyres. But yeah, of course, Platt's riding his luck earlier on by not hitting the wall at turn 2. But yeah, that time might be under investigation by the stewards post-race, as K-Batch is being caught by Swimster. That's 2 laps to be fair, where Swimster's been close going onto the end straight there. He's been able to hold him off as K-Brow moves past Boberg for 12th position. But I feel like this is a bit of a matter of time. Swimster looks a lot faster, honestly.
Yeah, he does look quicker, but I don't know, he's not really put Kybak under too much pressure at the moment. Anyway, we might see that change over the next few laps, of course. Excuse me, but Kybak is, like I said, doing well at the moment. Zwemstra getting closer, and if he can get a good run out of Moss Corner, he's surely going to have a good chance. Was nice and late on the brakes there. Let's see if he can get a good exit out of here. It was fairly decent. He's around 0.3 of a second back from Zwemstra, and Zwemstra's a 0.3 of a second back from Kybak, sorry, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But here's the 2 No Limits racing cars battling. I think they might go easy on each other, considering they are teammates, of course. Will Glamsetter be able to pass him with ease? I believe he was, and Gibb kind of let him through there. And also, speaking of which, Zwemstra was able to get up into 5th place. So I eat my words, he was able to do it, and tucks himself nicely into 5th. And small mention as well, Postrup is closing the gap a little bit to Diadone, and Sandstrom as well closing the gap to Bogotto.
Yeah, we could see a few of these kind of battles merge by the end of this race, as we see a little bit of a replay of what happened earlier on. Actually tried to go 3 wide, did Platt, and that's why it didn't work out for him. But nice control once he found himself off the circuit. Here was a little bit of a tap from Hahn, and that is how Gabriel spun round. And then this was the move from Zwemstra. Apologies, that was from hang on, where Aberdeen. I think it may have been Aberdeen. But of course Aberdeen then had a late issue. And that was Sandstrom finally being able to make the position stick, and that was Hahn carrying too much speed. Very common mistake here at Mosport, and that was the big hit. And yeah, I don't think he could turn. Don't think he could turn right into the pits.
Yeah, I mean that was massive, a massive hit into that wall. And yeah, that, wow. I remember seeing that.
So that was Sandstrom, wasn't it? I think ahead of them.
I believe it was. Who was that?
Oh no, sorry, it was Dione, I think. Or was it Postrup? No, I think it was Postrup. Apologies. And then that was the contact.
It might have been Kybak. We're not sure, but whoever it was very, very lucky. Let's put it that way.
That was Platt.
That was Platt into like a Boberg.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, entertaining race so far, to say the least. Lots of action up and down the grid. Aggressive moves here and there. Not the cleanest moves as well, but we've had some spectacular racing as well to go with it. And yeah, Picasso really, I don't know if he's just playing with that gap to Sandstrom, sorry. But Sandstrom is closing in ever so slightly every lap. As you can see that he's right on the edge, right out to the grass on that last corner. And he's catching by around 1/10 a lap, give or take. And we've still got 8 minutes to go in this race. So once he gets into that slipstream, it's game on.
Does have quite a sense of speed, I think, does this cycle. Of course, it's very rare that we see really high-level single-seaters around here, and so these Formula 3 cars are pretty much as fast machinery as you're going to see. And when you're constantly turning left or right and constantly using all the circuit into all these corners, it does really have a lot of... it really is quite a spectacular kind of sight to see someone drive, as, of course, Pagotto has got his POV view. But POV view, what am I talking about? Point of view. Dear me. 11 minutes into the race, and yeah, it's all rice. It's a bowl of rice out there, because there's not really many close battles apart from K-Back and Zwemstra. But K-Back's losing time. Zwemstra's got really nice pace, and Zwemstra will be on the back of Postrup. Postrup's pace not quite as good as I thought it would be. He looked strong in the early stages, but as the race has gone on, he's struggled. As Boberg has also struggled. He's down to 14th.
Yeah, Boberg not had the best A final today, but of course got ran into by Platt in the early stages of the race, and now I believe he just made another mistake and has slipped right down to the back of the grid. Of course, Aberdeen, the only retirement we've had in this race so far, with his contact with Dino on, I believe it was lap 3 or 4, and yeah, really unfortunate for him. He looked to be going well here at Mosport, and that gap with Sandstrom and Pagotto is coming down. It's now 9.5 tenths of a second, and I think if Sandstrom can put his foot down a little bit more, be a bit more consistent with those lap times, he's going to be on that rear wing of the Italian anytime soon.
Is this not consistent enough for you? To the thousandth of a second, he's matching his times.
Yeah, those last 2 laps, I take back what I said. But just if he can set those 10.3s, maybe 10.2s, I look at that.
I mean, that is incredible. Look at those last 4 laps. He set 4 laps within 0.03 of a second of one another. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. I think he's going to need maybe a slight favour from Pagotto, but Sandstrom is driving really at the heights of his talents right now, and that is quite something. He's got the gap under 0.9 of a second now. And, well, it's a shame that he had that battle at the start with Diodone. It lost him a bit of time. He was 1.7 seconds back before he could really start putting his foot down. But also, nice line there through Mosport. He's not actually pushing it all the way to the limit. And just one sweeping turn of the wheel. And this is, I mean, this looks like an even faster lap. With the toe here, he could be on for the fastest lap of the race right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's really setting some lovely pace through there. Like you said, that line through Moss Corner was pretty much perfect. No corrections at all, excuse me, again. He's just setting some really, really good lap times right now. And I think on those final 2 laps, it's going to be Pagotto versus Sandstrom. And you know, when Sandstrom is in the zone, he is one of the quickest drivers in this Formula 3 car, possibly in the world. He genuinely is super, super quick when he's got his head down and gets on with the task at hand. And he might find himself battling for the lead and increasing his championship lead in the Pro Championship. But it's game on between these two, and I am rubbing my hands together. I'm super excited between these two, since at the start of the race, as you were saying, Sam, Sandstrom got rather held up, and we might have been spoilt for this battle, but Sandstrom has put in some amazing lap times. And look at the gap now. He's pretty much just edging onto that slipstream.
Yeah, still not getting a whole lot down the straights, but it's helping him along a bit. Of course, it will start affecting him through the corners as well soon. But Pagotto is just absolutely unflappable. We have not seen him miss an apex all night long. And it would really be telling of the pressure that he's been put under if he does make a mistake eventually. Was a little bit slow on the throttle coming out of the final corner, pushed it a bit too hard, and with these cars, I think they're flat out through the first corner. He was actually losing time all the way to the second corner, so it gets down to half a second. Sandstrom needs to be within about 0.3 coming out of Moss Corner. That's the big one. As just loses a bit of time through turn 3, lost best part of half a tenth. And so you just set back a little bit to do that. But this is where Sandstrom is very strong.
Yeah, he has a really smooth input here.
Oh, he's wide.
Oh, Pagotto got very, very wide there. This is his chance. Sandstrom is right on the back of the Italian's rear wing now. And where does Pagotto go? Where does Sandstrom go? Seems like Pagotto's going to choose the inside line. He favours it. But now Sandstrom's starting to edge ahead by about half a tenth. He's almost an entire car length ahead now as we head into the S's corner. And he's now a tenth ahead. He's gotten back into first place. And that was a spectacular few corners from Jesper Sandstrom. And surely he's going to ramp away with it now, unless Pagotto has an answer for this incredible pace.
2 laps remaining at Mosport. That was perfectly done there from Sandstrom. That was all he could do. It really was going to need to be a mistake from Pagotto. And when that mistake came, he was right there, Jesper Sandstrom, to pick up the pieces. And this would be an incredibly satisfying victory. At Road America, it came to him very easily. He was far clear of the rest of the drivers. But anything but tonight. And good news for him, he is continuing to pull away. And this has been an absolutely frantic 15 minutes of trying to bring himself back into play to give himself a chance. But now, with a lap and a half to go, he's looking very strong. But the gap is still only 0.4 of a second. Pagotto will be within a couple of car lengths by the end of the Andretti straight.
Yeah, it's around 4 tenths, 3.5 tenths where you do gain the most amount of slipstream here. And you can see there Sandstrom trying to weave his way out of Pagotto's slipstream. And Pagotto getting very, very close. But like you say, he just needs to have a little bit more pace around Moss Corner. Since that seems to be the corner that he struggles with the most. I think he breaks a little bit too deep into that corner. Sandstrom breaks about, I'd say, 5 meters earlier than Pagotto, which costs around 1/10 of a second on corner entry, but that exit just propels him through the Andretti straight away and really pays dividends. Are we going to see the same thing this lap with Pagotto? Possibly taking a bit of an easier approach following Sandstrom. We're just coming up to Moss Corner now. Pay attention to that gap between the top two. See how it changes into this corner. You see there, Pagotto much, much later on the brakes initially, but then on corner exit just doesn't have the run that he needs. And it's going to be the same story as last lap as we are now on the last lap.
Yeah, this will be a little bit closer than last time. He will be within a car length, I think, by the end of the straight. But you can see Sandstrom is just that little bit far away. And with no braking zone at the end of this long straight, there's no chance for the Italian unless he really goes for a dive in the penultimate corner. You can see he's understeering through. He's trying his absolute hardest. He led throughout his heat, throughout the A final. But with 2 laps to go, it was just Sandstrom who took the lead. And he takes his second race victory of the season, extends his championship lead. A mighty performance from the Alcantech driver. Diodone finishes in 3rd position, followed by Postrup, who held off Swemstra. K-Batch finishes top of the Pro-Ams, with Platt rounding out the top 10. Still got a battle between Bognar and K-Brow. This is going to be a close one. Bognar is going to get past on the last lap of the race. He had to pit earlier on, did Lennard Bognar, for repairs. But he is going to get that extra point that he so desired, and that will be very satisfying for the Swedish driver. But a fantastic race. We will transfer over to the studio and leave you with a couple of adverts, but we'll be back with the action and the results and the interviews in just a couple of minutes' time.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, I'm not 100% sure if that was necessarily the best race of the season, Aaron, but it was definitely the best battle of the season, unquestionably, between Jesper Sandström and Gianfranco Pagotto. We identified them right at the start as, you know, the two drivers who have taken race wins so far this season, and that was a battle of the ages between the pair of them throughout the race meeting to see who would come out on top.
I honestly didn't know who was going to get that final few laps. I couldn't predict it. Sandström put in one of the best, just consistent laps. It was genuinely the same lap time almost every lap, within a few hundredths of each other. He was like 2 seconds back and managed to actually end up overtaking. I mean, catching up is one thing, but overtaking completely another. He put the right amount of pressure on Pagotto, got ahead up into first place, and extends his lead at the front of the championship. I think it's going to be between these two now for the rest of the season. It's going to be trading every single week. And I mean, last week it was Pagotto, the week before it was Sandström, this is Sandström. So what does that mean next week?
Exactly, yeah, could well be continuing to alternate throughout the rest of the championship. And of course, yeah, 1.7 seconds the gap was up to. I mean, usually you'd think, oh, 1.7 seconds is not that much, but when it's 15 minutes, when it's a circuit like Mosport where you're just banging those lap times every single time, when you know that you're only a tenth of a second at best faster than your main rival, that is some performance in order to make up that gap and of course to make the move as well. Let's have a chat with a couple of our drivers. First up, it's going to be a very happy Jesper Sandström, which joins us now. Jesper, congratulations. I mean, that must be surely one of the most satisfying race wins for you, because you had to work so hard in order to catch and pass Gianfranco.
Yeah, I'm obviously I'm happy, but at the same time, it shouldn't have been a race where I had to work so hard. But I suspect they might have given each other a toe in the qualifying. Yeah, and then when you're not on pole, you gotta work for it a bit harder. But I'm a bit lucky because I survived the contact with Didone on lap 1, which is what let Gianfranco get away in the first place. But I'm happy with closing the gap and then overtaking him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was some incredibly consistent lap times. We saw one of your lap times, you managed to set consecutive laps within 1,000th of a second of one another. You know, were you just in the, have you been in that zone for the entire week, or was that a new level that you found in that A-line?
I haven't done that much driving this week, but I managed to build a super easy setup to drive, so the consistency is just a consequence of having a super comfy setup. I can hit the corners like exactly the same way on lap 2 as on lap 11, so all I have to do is try and hit my marks, and the consistency kind of comes with that.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like some of your lines, particularly through Moss Corner, seemed really sort of safe and still very quick. So you're absolutely right that, yeah, you're able to gain that consistency. Now it's a week off. You know, how has it been this season, having, you know, the break weeks? Of course, like, what did you do last week whilst you were off, and what are you planning on doing next week as well?
I'm working almost every weekend, so I just got a bit lucky that I've been able to make these rounds that I have. But for next week, I'm actually going on a vacation, so a bit lucky with there being no race on next Friday.
Absolutely. Where are you going? Is it a domestic one, or are you going abroad?
I'm going to Greece, actually.
Oh, very nice. Well, hopefully you have a very good time. And of course, hopefully we see you back in a couple of weeks' time as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to the team as usual. They are always super helpful and a bunch of great guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Jesper, and yeah, best of luck to keep this form up in round 4, apologies.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that was Jesper Sandström for Alcantake NHR for Nyman Racing, taking your race victory for tonight. Unfortunately, we haven't got a chat with anyone else. Of course, anyone who does race in these series, whatever broadcast it is on Apex Racing TV, well, certainly the Apex Racing League series at least, wherever you finish, do have a chat with us. Always good to have some kind of feedback from what happened out on circuit to help us learn more about the championship. Yeah, we head into now the next few rounds of the championship, Aaron, and yeah, like we were saying before, kind of established our pro championship contenders. But in the pro-ams, I mean, Michael Kabak was extremely strong tonight. You know, maybe a Joe who could take the challenge to Graham Setzer and Bo Bergencourt.
Yeah, I was saying just how much progress he's made over the past few seasons. I think he started out in AM, I believe, 3 seasons ago, I believe. I remember when he joined, actually, wasn't the most consistent, wasn't the quickest either, but it's always so good to see drivers progress over, you know, years and seasons. And tonight, he's been at his peak, and if he can continue the momentum, like I've said, momentum in championships are so important. You know, we were watching the tennis earlier. Momentum is important. You need it, especially in a championship like this, where it's so key to consistently bag those points every single round. And Kabak looked really strong there, nearly fended off the likes of Zremstra, which is just unheard of.
Yeah, really strong performance from him. Of course, Noam's getting through to the A final tonight, but well, that's if anything good news, because it means that that one is just as competitive as well. Of course, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for the next round of the championship. Next week, from the studio, we have got the return of the ACES Apex Racing League Endurance Championship. And of course, on Apex Racing TV for the rest of the week, we have loads more streams coming up as well. So make sure to leave a like on this video and give the channel a subscribe. Also, check out our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as well. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and from Aaron Smith, we are going to say goodbye on Apex Racing TV, and we will see you back next time.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.